Hi, hello, and Merry Christmas to all who celebrate. It's Jen Sullivan. This is Fat Mascara, a podcast about beauty culture. I cannot think of a better way to light up the holiday season than candles. What else? You know our interest in candles here at Fat Mascara borders on obsession. I would say it's an obsession, but what can we say? Candles are fabulous. They're the best. They're a way to experience fragrance and all it has to offer, even if you don't like actual perfume. So this interview with Louis Hotchkiss is probably going to blow your mind a bit if you like candles. Louis is an actual candle maker. Not like in the pre-industrial revolution sense, but he is the founder of KOBO Candles, which started as a kitchen counter laboratory, developed into a factory. They create and manufacture candles for some of the most major brands. So this interview, originally, it was recorded in 2021. Jess will be here in a second. She's with me as we interview Louis. But a lot has changed since then. In 2022, Louis sold his company, KOBO, to Merz Apothecary, which is a family-owned business in the Chicago area. So they moved production from New York to the Chicago area, and that's where they are now. But you can still find KOBO candles. They make their own brand of candles, as well as doing custom orders and private label work. That's all still at their website, kobocandles.com. So if you're interested, I'll put that in the links for you. But now, because it's the holiday season, it's Christmas week, let's just light a candle and get cozy and talk to Louis.
Louis, I'm so happy you're here. This has been the most hotly anticipated episode for a long time because we are very big candle aficionados and our listeners are as well. I have to ask you, how did you become the candle man?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I'm really excited about this also. I think it was until you guys contacted me that I didn't realize that I was an expert in anything. And then I had to think about it for a while. But I started making candles and kind of by accident. We had started a product line and it started to do pretty well. We decided to add some candles to it, some fragrance items to it. And that started to do very well. And I asked a friend to make them for me. And the friend was at that time, he was a key manufacturer of candles for Estee Lauder. And our line started to take off pretty well for him. One day he came to me and he said, "Hey, Louis, I've got some bad news. I have a project that's probably going to take me 7 months to complete, so I won't be able to pour your candles anymore." And so I said, "Oh, wow, what am I going to do here?" And I asked him, "What am I going to do?" His name was Jose. He was originally from Italy. And he said, "Well, why don't you come down to my place every day for the next month, and we will make all these candles together, and I'll teach you everything I know." So every day I would drive to his place and we'd make our candles, and I'd make the Estee Lauder candles, and it turned out to be a fantastic experience. I realized that at lunch every day he'd say, "Okay, it's time to take a break." And we would go into his kitchen in the place and we'd make pasta, have a glass of wine, finish it up with an espresso and a piece of chocolate. And I thought, wow, I could get into this candle making thing.
I want to hang out with you and Jose in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Career switch.
Yeah. So that's how I kind of got into it. And then he taught me a certain technique, added some of our own personality to that. And it just kind of took off from there.
And you've never stopped making candles since?
We have not stopped making candles since. This year, we'll probably pour 500,000 candles.
Oh my God. And this is both for your own line, KOBO, and also for brands which we cannot name because they don't want people to know. Not that there's anything bad, but, you are let's say I am, insert famous brand here.
Exactly.
They're not making if I'm a big brand, and I don't even want to use one because I don't want to mislead people, but they don't necessarily make their own candles. They go to an expert who makes the best candles in the world, so they'll go to you and you'll make their candles.
That is correct.
Okay, got it.
Most of the main candle brands in the world don't actually make their own candles.
And I have to say, that is really confusing. And I realize you're not going to name drop, but why won't some of these big candle brands make their own candles? That's super confusing to me. I get why a fashion brand might not, because it's why do they want to put, millions of dollars into making a candle that's going to sit at their, cashier point and be like, oh, we also have this candle, but why would a big fat candle brand not make their own candles?
Probably because they put most of their efforts into marketing. And manufacturing is a whole nother process, which requires a lot of energy and a lot of attention. And a lot of the brands have developed through marketing campaigns. So they might manufacture other products. They probably do. They might have some body care that they include in their line, and they don't necessarily have the expertise or the energy to create all of these different areas for themselves.
Got it.
Is it safe to say making a candle is way more complicated than like mixing up a body lotion?
There's definitely different elements because you've got heat involved, you've got all these different vessels and different times. So for example, for us, each different vessel requires a different wick. So you've probably had some candles that don't burn all the way to the ends of the glass, for example.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to get to some of those questions. Yeah.
You've got the different size, you've got the height, the width, the materials, the fragrance. You have all those elements in lotions as well. And lotions can be complicated as well because you have preservative systems that you're putting into lotions also. So I wouldn't say that it's much more complicated, but it takes a lot more time to manufacture a candle.
Got it. Okay, well, let's get straight to some of the hard, fast questions because for this episode, we actually crowdsourced almost all of the questions, which is something that Jen and I don't normally do. But we knew that our listeners would be really don't get a chance to ask their specific questions to somebody with such a specific area of expertise like yourself. So this was really fun. I had such a great time going through the questions, and I was really amazed at how repetitive some of the questions were, but also how, again, I keep using this word specific, but how specific they were, but they all were the same over and over and over again. So let's get to the first one.
Sure.
The first question was, some of our longtime listeners actually use this word because we use it on the show. One of the first fun candle terms I'd ever heard was the word throw. And listeners who've, been hanging around a while were asking about the term throw. What? Well, I'd love for you to define it, but also how indicative of a candle's quality is a throw?
Yes, it definitely is indicative of a candle's quality. So there's two kinds of throw, and they're very easy to understand. You've got the cold throw, which is the throw of the candle when it's not lit. And then you've got the hot throw, which is the fragrance of the candle that is in the room.
I love this episode already.
So, for us, for example, we want to test the hot throw, and we wanted to match the cold throw for what we put into our own brand. And I could tell you that we actually had a large customer today who developed their own fragrance without checking with us, and their hot throw and their cold throw were completely off.
Wow.
So when you
it's the worst.
Oh, yeah. And they came back at us and they said, hey, this candle doesn't smell like it does. And I said, well, you didn't listen to us on how to formulate the fragrance. And now you're coming back to me with this question. But definitely, so we try on our side we want the customer to smell the candle in the store for our own brand and to have an anticipatory experience of what that's going to be like in the room. And it shouldn't be that far off. Of course, when it goes into the room, you're going to lose some of the subtlety that you have when you're able to get your nose right there and smell the fragrance right in the wax. But it should be very, very similar and along the same type of note qualities.
So, yeah, because one time I bought a candle, and it had an amazing cold throw. I bought it as a souvenir. I bought it when I was on vacation, and then I lit it at home, and it was nothing, nada. Could not believe it. So what happens? Do they not put enough oil in there, or is it just a balance of chemistry that's too annoying to explain right now?
Probably both of those. Yeah. I mean, it could be the wrong wick. It could be that they didn't load the right type of fragrance in the right type of wax. It could be a variety of things, but this is something that they needed to have worked out well before they got it onto the store shelf.
Got it.
And they could have if they put the time and energy into it.
If they went to Louis.
That's right.
You didn't say it, I did. Don't worry.
Thank you for that.
And what about the quality that Jess was asking about? Like,
Oh, yeah.
because some people might want a subtle thing. Like they pick it up and they're like, oh, it's subtle, good. It won't give me a headache or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely. So a lot of times people ask, for example, what makes a candle really present in the room? And we kind of think about it like musical notes. Yeah, we talk about fragrance notes and we talk about the things that you're about to experience. But, when you listen to a piece of music and you hear something that's very high pitched or very deep bass, when you walk into the room and that music's playing, you hear those notes. They come out. They're present. And it's the same way with fragrance in a candle. If you have a very kind of sweet or tart note that's right there at the top and a very woody bass note, when you put that candle on and when you burn it in the room, it's going to sing in the room with those same kind of notes. And so we look at it like we do music, as I was mentioning. You can have a lot of subtle notes. You can play a lot of quiet things. And some people might like that. And some people might seek that out in a candle where they're looking for something that's very, very much in the background. Mm-hmm. Much in the same way they would play, background music. Other people want it to be right in the forefront. And different notes get that different quality in a candle.
And it's not necessarily quality.
So it's just
what you're after.
Yeah, it's a matter of taste. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you mentioned a little bit the wax. And so we got a lot of questions about the types of wax. Like, does the type of wax matter? Which feels very generic to ask that way. But a couple people phrased it sort of leadingly and said, why is soy wax better? I don't know if they've been marketed to in that way. But can you clear this up for us? Like, what's the difference between the waxes? And is there, quote, a best one?
We think that soy is the best wax for a number of reasons. Some of the reasons are for what it is, and other reasons are for what it's not. So, for example, it's not a derivative of a product of the oil industry. So paraffin, which is the most commonly used wax in candles around the world, is really a byproduct of oil production. It has similar qualities with hardeners added into it, like, for example, Vaseline. I guess that's a brand name, but
it's petrolatum.
Petrolatum, exactly. Whereas soy, our soy is grown in the United States. It's a renewable resource. It's a plant, and it burns cleaner as well. So in addition to being cleanly produced, it also is a cleaner burning medium inside the house. It's a vegetable oil. So when you're cooking, you're using vegetable oils in the house, you're heating them up, those are dispersing into the air. Now, when you're burning a candle, you are also dispersing whatever that medium is into the air, whether it be paraffin, coconut, beeswax, or soy. And so for us, soy is a wax that doesn't produce soot. So petroleum-based paraffin will produce a black edge around the candle. A soy candle probably won't do that unless you get the wick too hot, which is another issue. But petroleum-based candles will also put kind of a stain on your walls over time.
And so there's more of like a particulate matter that burns off with that kind of candle is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. And so soy wax is not going to do that for you.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And how you also mentioned the wick. You said they might have put the wrong wick. Who even knew there was a right wick? Some of our listeners asked, how does the wick material affect the candle? And once again, the question being like, is there a best one?
Well, the best wick is the right wick for the vessel, really, and for the vessel, the wax combination. So when you're talking about a candle burning, a lot of people want to ask things like, how do I burn the candle properly? And sometimes we get calls from, for example, like, why does my candle have a tunnel in the center of it? And so there's a couple of reasons why. One, the wick might be too small. So ultimately, what you're looking to do is create a burn pool. So a burn pool is the liquefied section of the candle that's at the top of the candle. If you want to burn your candle properly, you start it out by burning as close to the edges of the glass as possible. So you light the candle and you let it burn for, possibly an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, so that the burn pool extends all the way to the edges of the vessel.
Yes.
This is going to give you the best quality.
Non-tunneling.
Non-tunneling. So a lot of people, they say, oh, you know what? I want to, this candle cost me $35, $40, whatever it cost you, $80. I want to save this candle. So I'm going to just burn it just a little bit until I get the fragrance into the room. And then I'm going to put it out. And what you're actually going to do is half the life of that candle, because you're just going to create a tunnel, and eventually the wax is going to pool in on itself and extinguish the wick, and you're not going to be able to burn the entire candle.
Wait, but Louis, like, how do you get out of this misery?
How do you get out of the tunnel?
If you start to get a tunnel, you have to do a couple of long burns, and you might want to overburn the candle for, so let's say that the candle's recommended burn time is 2 hours, but you've only burned it for a half an hour 3 times in a row. You might have to burn that candle for 4 hours now, twice in a row, to kind of get the heat to melt the wax that's on top there.
I did not know you could overburn. I have never read the instructions on a candle and stuck to the time limit. What is that? Bad?
Well, have you ever noticed that maybe at the top of your
It comes
wick,
with instructions?
Well, yeah.
What?
Now that you're saying it, I'm thinking I saw you like burn for 2 to 4 hours or whatever.
Yes.
I've never seen instructions in my entire life.
Because we don't read them because we're excited and we just light the candle.
Trash the box and just burn.
Yeah.
So why? Yeah, tell us why.
Well, have you ever noticed at the top, every now and then you get at the top of the wick, it creates kind of like a mushrooming look.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that means that you've created too much heat, and that the wick has become over-carboned, and it creates a mushroom at the top.
I usually snip that guy off the next time I burn.
Well, that's a wise move. You definitely want to do that.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So before
but if I hadn't burned it so long, I wouldn't have got my little mushroom tip.
Exactly.
Okay.
But what does that mean? You overburned it? You mean like you lit it too long?
Hot.
Yeah, you created too much heat, and it created the mushroom. What that's
I
actually
blew up
doing,
the end of my wick.
Yeah, it's actually inhibiting the ability of the wick to bring the fragrance up.
I'm going to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
Next time my candle does a little mushroom thing, it's time to blow it out, right? Is what you're saying?
Well, you know what? I'm going to give you a tip here.
Yes.
One thing is that rather than blowing out your candle, you would be best to use an extinguishing lid, because that way you've created this environment in your room, in your home. You walk in there, extinguish it with the lid. That way the smoke doesn't get into the room, and now you still have your fragrance in the room. And I'll give you another kind of insider's tip for wick treatment. So if you don't have an extinguishing lid,
can you tell people what that is? Because I'm
like a snuffer.
Yeah, I'm picturing like 1776 old-timey Ebenezer Scrooge.
Some people have those.
Oh, well, there are snuffers, but there's also a lid that you can just, some candles come with them. A lot of our candles do, where you can just drop the lid on top of the candle, and it will take the air out of it, and it will extinguish itself. Another thing that you can do if you don't have an extinguishing lid, and I love this little trick, is you can take a paper clip, and just make it into an L shape.
Okay.
And when the candle is still lit, you don't blow it out yet. You just take the paper clip and put it a little bit underneath the melted section into the burn pool. Push the wick over and submerge it in the liquid so that the wick becomes total. It will extinguish itself, and then with the same paper clip, just now re-erect the wick. And leave it there for the next time.
But it doesn't have like a little bit of wax residue on it?
It will have a little bit of wax residue, but
it'll still light.
It will still light. Most wicks are pre-waxed as it is. A lot of wicks are sold with wax on them. It helps them remain upright in the candle, gives them an extra little bit of strength.
I love that.
I took you off topic there, but just to finish the wick story there. So some are cotton, some waxed cotton. Like, how do you decide which one to use?
A lot of it depends on the material of the wax that you're using. So, for example, when we pour mainly soy, all soy, I would say, we use a cotton wick with a paper core. The paper core helps the wick remain upright, gives it a little bit of extra stability.
Oh, yeah. Nobody likes a floppy wick.
That's it. Exactly.
Why is this getting so phallic for me? I'm sorry. The mushroom tip. I'm sorry.
I knew when I threw the wick being erect in there, something would go wrong in that next bit of that conversation. It was before that.
Okay, bringing us back. So I think there have been many people who have probably when trying to fix their candle, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, like in the olden days, definitely like chipped away at the wax. Have you seen that?
Oh, definitely, I've seen that.
Like
Done it
to
myself.
even it out.
Yeah.
So that's a bad idea, right?
Well, that usually after if it tunnels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And like destroyed and made a very ugly situation. Made an ugly situation uglier.
Yeah, but once you get that top, that excess removed, after a few burns, it should smooth back out again. Try to go back to creating that even burn pool across the entire surface, and you'll get back to a beautiful candle.
That's really nice. I didn't know there was a way out, a safe way home. I know that I'm going back to this snuffer thing, but I really always thought that those were just like little fancy accessories sold, for really those deep. Actually, I have one of those mega diptyque candles where it's like, a door stopper. It was gifted.
Oh, yeah.
And when I tried to like blow it out, you basically have to stick your head in like a freaking flower pot, almost set your hair on fire. So I was like, oh, that's why they sell those things, But so I have to ask you, what's the harm in a little smoke? Like, I just mean for your average, little candle. So you blow it out. What's the big deal? So some smoke comes in the air. Like, why is that a big deal?
It's no harm. But
Okay.
you just want to preserve the environment, right? So you've burned your candle for a few hours. Who wants smoke in the room? You'd rather still have the fragrance that you've really bought the candle for to be the thing that remains rather than the smoke.
I get it. Okay, that's cool. You've convinced me. I think I'll probably use the paper clip trick first, though.
Give it a try. Let me know how it goes.
Adding something else into my home.
Pro tip. The smoke made me think of something. So I have a candle that when I burn it, sometimes my air purifier sort of kicks into gear. It tells me when it's like kicking into gear. And I'm thinking, oh, is it? I'm thinking there's something bad in the air. And so we had a lot of people ask this question. The number one question actually we got was about quote unquote toxicity. Mm-hmm. Now, Jess and I do not take lightly to that term because we feel like it's overused. So I don't really want to, I'm not saying it's toxic, but can I ask you, like, is there anything bad that candles do to the air quality indoors that would be harmful to your health or maybe to your home?
To your knowledge. No one's going to sue you and say,
bad being a relative term too, however you see that.
Yes, in your opinion.
Definitely. I would say that there's definitely some candles that are made with very poor quality oils. Maybe the fragrance oil is the thing. For example, since we use soy, our area to be concerned about the toxicity would be with the fragrance oil. That's where the majority of the chemicals are used. And I haven't seen any studies about toxicity, but I can tell you that from our standpoint, we recommend all of our clients, and we definitely, for our own candles, create the fragrances to Japanese, European, and California standards. Those are the highest standards in the world right now for toxicity. Those are the most stringent regulations. So as you know, from your experience talking about beauty products and toxicity and what's good for you, so much of that, you can't keep up with that. It could be a fad, it could be a trend, it could be based on real science, it could be based on hearsay. A magazine will produce an article saying that something's bad for you. Suddenly nobody buys it. Turns out it might not be, but once the bad word is out there, you can never kind of put that back into the bag. So for us, it's definitely about creating a clean base and using the highest level of regulated fragrance that we can.
Well, so a lot of fragrances are made with essential oils. And I know, for example, that some essential oils are not good for my dog. Like I wouldn't want him to touch them. But can I use a candle that has those oils? Or would that be harmful to a pet? A lot of people asked about what about my pets? Or what are their standards like?
Well, as far as essential oil goes, some of the essential oils are actually quite dangerous.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, cinnamon oil probably burn right through if you touched it. And I would definitely if any human being or pet starts to react in a negative way to something newly that's been introduced to the environment, if that's a candle, I would definitely stop using that candle right away.
Are there any essential oils that you don't like, you might be able to use in like a fragrance or a lotion, but you guys don't put it in a candle for that reason? Like a cinnamon oil,
Yeah,
per se.
exactly. Like a cinnamon oil, for example. We probably would look for a substitute to rosewood and to some sandalwoods due to the over culling of those trees. So we would look for a synthetic solution to that for environmental reasons.
That's funny because cinnamon is such a popular smell for candles.
I feel like cinnamon was like lots of homes in America smell like cinnamon.
Well, they're definitely using chemically created cinnamons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, everybody's going to have like their eyes watering.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so I don't want people listening to this being like, oh my
big
God.
red gum on fire.
Yeah, so people shouldn't, if they're at their family's house and it smells like cinnamon, they shouldn't like overturn a table and be like, you got to get rid of this, right? That you're not saying if you smell cinnamon, panic. You're just saying that certain oils may be problematic.
Right.
Okay.
It's interesting too, because I could see someone being like, oh, I'll just melt down this soy wax and throw in some powdered cinnamon from my, and try and make their own. It could be dangerous, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, don't do that, everybody. Don't do that.
Don't try that at home.
That's why things are best left to professionals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the professional.
Okay.
Another question we got a lot was, can you please explain the massive price differences in candles? I think more than a lot of other products we buy, you could get a $3 candle or you could get a $100 candle. Mm-hmm. What is going on?
What is good? There's a bunch of things going on there.
Talk to us.
One is marketing budgets. So candles with big marketing budgets have to charge more. It's the same as the fragrance industry. I don't want to break any news stories here, but a lot of these $220 fragrances, have all-in costs of like $6.50, but they have unbelievable marketing campaigns that are thrown behind them. And those cost a lot more than the products themselves. That's one of the reasons. Another reason is that
Wait, what?
No, we talk about it all the time.
Wait, slow down. Slow down.
You guys are actually cracking me up. You guys are so funny.
No, you're preaching to the choir. We're familiar.
Okay, good.
But I have heard that candles are sort of like a loss leader, that like making the fragrance in an alcohol base is actually sometimes cheaper than making a fragranced candle.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Because, the material that goes into a candle can be expensive. But back to your question about what makes a price difference. The other areas that make a price difference, and for us, this is a real area, are the cost of fragrances. So one of the major costs in the candle itself is the fragrance. And for us, we buy high quality fragrances, and a low end fragrance that we use, not necessarily a poor quality, but a low price point, could be 25% of the higher price fragrances that we buy. So you can be drastically different in your price with the candle based on the fragrance. The cost of the fragrance themselves, the raw materials. There's that. There's also packaging, which goes a lot into it. And,
the ceramic, beautiful hand-blown glass or whatever.
Exactly.
Just one thing on the fragrance oil, I had a question. I've heard also that like an eau de cologne, might have 3% or 5% of a fragrance oil in the alcohol base, but the candles have to have a really high percentage of fragrance oil.
Right.
Is that true?
Yeah, our candles typically have between 6 and 10% fragrance oil in them. And that, again, it depends on the kind of the notes of the fragrance and how it reacts with the base and how well we get the cold throw and the hot throw, as we mentioned earlier.
What's the most percentage you've put into a candle for someone you made?
Well, really, we can't go much higher than 10%.
Oh, just like...
Yeah. But an odd thing to understand is that sometimes more is not better. And sometimes you will get a better candle by putting less fragrance in it. So, for example, if you're using a candle that has a lot of vanilla and you're thinking about putting it at 10%, you're going to really risk a candle that's not going to be able to produce enough heat. It might tunnel. But if you put in 3%, for example, you might get a fantastic candle that throws beautifully and burns very well.
Might it also be less expensive because you didn't need as much oil?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but often
Cool.
those oils are often, the heavy oils are often expensive as well.
Okay.
Vanilla is a heavy oil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask you, I know that you are going to be biased because you want to work with you might want to shout out some of your vendors when you can't say not vendors, your clients. And you can't say your clients. So this may be
Right.
kind of a tricky question to answer. But can you shout out some of your favorite all-time candles?
Brand and scent, please.
Brand and scent.
Or maybe you want to do this. Maybe, okay, you're getting someone a gift.
Mhm.
What are some great candles that you would gift someone?
I'm a really big fan of Cire Trudon candles.
Okay.
They are actually...
Those are nice candles. They're very beautiful.
Oh, their mint one that's like
The tea-
Egyptian
yeah, the
something.
tea. It's like
the
a
tea in the mint.
Oh, yeah.
Khaled. I don't know.
Yeah, they have so many beautiful candles. Really lovely fragrances. It's an old company that used to make church candles. I believe that they may be right around Normandy. And they recently kind of converted into a luxury brand. So I do love Cire Trudon candles. And I will have to say, when I'm not burning a KOBO candle at my own home, I will burn a Cire Trudon candle.
Is there
What's
one
like the
that
KOBO?
you like?
Tell us the oh yeah, and the search. Sorry, didn't mean to-
I'm so terrible with names, honestly.
Their names aren't the easiest to just like roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
I butchered the mint one. What about with KOBO? What are some of your favorite
shout out some
babies?
KOBOs.
Saffron Sandalwood is a real one of my favorite candles that we make. We have a super popular candle, vetiver and shaved vanilla. It's very lovely.
Ooh.
Vetiver is really as you know from the perfume world, vetiver is in like 40% of the fragrances worldwide. It's a fantastic fragrance that originally was from the roots of a grass that was grown in the south of France. Then a lot of that production moved to Haiti. And now also some of it is in India as well, but it's a very widely used oil. And mixing that vetiver, which has these nice, beautiful, sharp edges on it, with the round vanilla creates a really great candle. And vetiver and shaved vanilla is a great candle. I love, when I go to stay in an apartment, if we're going to go traveling around and hit something up, we often bring a pamplemousse candle, which is grapefruit, because that will cut through everything. As I was mentioning earlier about those notes, this is a really high-pitched candle. You put it in any room, and suddenly it smells like citrus and grapefruit. So when you're traveling, it's a great way to kind of make the space our own. We take it in there, light that candle.
Yeah, and it feels like a jet lag cure too, like a little fresh and zingy kind of.
I guess
if
it
we ever
must
travel
be for
again.
me. I just yes, exactly.
I like that.
We will travel again.
Great.
That sounds lovely.
Before we let you go, we're going to just hit you with our Fat Mascara 5 quick, fun lightning round. So just say whatever comes to... He's like, oh my God, I'm still here. Okay, ready?
Go ahead.
What is the first grooming product you remember falling in love with, or at least liking?
Oh my gosh, there was this shaving cream that came out as like a gel, and when I put it on, it turned into foam. When I was a kid, when I was just learning to shave.
Edge? Like
the edge is what I was thinking of, yeah.
Yes.
I know because I have a brother. Yeah. I remember him getting it and I'm like, oh, cool.
I thought it was the coolest thing.
It was cool.
I had hardly any whiskers anyway, but it just felt so good going on.
Yeah, that was cool. Okay. What quality do you admire most in others?
Humility.
If there was one rule you wish everyone would follow, what would it be?
Be nice.
That's nice.
I thought he was going to say like bird pool to the edge.
I know. I thought he was going to say something candily.
No, I just feel like people need to be nice.
Yes.
You know, meet a person, you don't know them. Be nice. Love them. This is the whole point.
It's
be
very
nice.
difficult for people. It's very difficult for people,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the most played song on your playlist right now?
I think it's called Water Got No Enemy by Fela Kuti.
Oh my gosh, I know that song. I play it all the time. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to email you. I have a couple like remix versions from other artists that are very cool.
Ah, man.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
And if there were to be a movie made of your life, who would you want to narrate it?
To narrate it.
Yeah.
Well, geez, I can't say Morgan Freeman.
Why not?
Who
They're fine.
do I want to narrate? I don't know so many people.
We're not expecting that you'd be able to like
gonna
call them up.
It's
And
not going to happen.
We could extend it like they don't have to currently be working. This could be like in any time. Like whose voice is like indicative of you?
It could be a cartoon.
Oh, indicative
It could be
of me, or
anything.
whose voice do I love? I think
It's a little bit of both.
I would say, I mean, he doesn't sound anything like me, but I would really love for Milton Nascimento to be the voice.
I don't know
who that is. I'm so sorry.
Well, we can share playlists then. Milton Nascimento.
Oh, he's a musician.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's got his voice just, when he starts to sing or to speak, it just goes right through me. So.
Well, then it's got to be him then.
Yeah.
If he goes right through you, it sounds like it's got to be him.
He's got a good hot throw.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Louis.
Oh my God, you taught us so much. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Well,
all right.
you.
I can't believe I've been burning wrong like my entire life.
Well, I hope that something comes out. I hope that some people get things out of it for sure.
Yes, you've definitely saved a lot of candles tonight. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed the show. It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Razor One product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.